Dark Heresy, the role-playing game, Warhammer 40,000, set in the grimdark future. A very intriguing system, a very tight and really well played out system. But in terms of actually playing it, in terms of understanding it, in terms of writing adventures, I feel often that it's almost so self-contained that it is a hard game to get to the table. So let's push this out and approach it from the perspective of, you picked up Dark Heresy, maybe you're a Warhammer 40,000 player, you like to play role-playing games, or maybe it's your first foray into role-playing games, and you're building that group, that core group. You're looking for players. And I pushed up to my archive a couple of ideas for launching your role-playing group, finding those players, cultivating those players, capturing those players, and bringing them in. The biggest challenge with Dark Heresy is the book itself, fantastic introduction, talks a lot about the in-game universe, the types of characters and why, and the fact that you're working for the Inquisition to essentially be troubleshooters, stop chaos, the usual stuff. But Warhammer 40K is a very, very interesting place. You need to have a lot of in-game working knowledge to understand it. So the challenge that I found right away in running this, and I do regularly run Dark Heresy games, if I pull players in from other systems that have never played Warhammer 40,000 before, they're like, why is there a floating skull next to me? Like, what's the deal with that? Wait, magic is bad? Magic is psychic powers? Okay, I understand that. But the Chaos Gods? Like, what? But maybe I'm a radical inquisitor, and why aren't viewpoints and people tolerated? Why is there so much prejudice in this game universe? And why are there witch hunters and mutants, but at the same time tanks and cybernetics and all this crazy stuff? If you're a Warhammer 40,000 player, like, it completely makes sense. So I had a lot of trouble pulling in completely outside players. For the most part, it was kind of hit or miss. They enjoyed the system, but the narrative, the role-playing aspects were a little hard. Now you just go down to your Warhammer 40K club, or if you play Warhammer 40,000, you've got friends. I found them very easy to pull in, especially if they understood role-playing games. You know, the double threat of, if they have a Warhammer 40K army and they play 40K and they also play other role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, then it was just like a dream. We pulled them in. They know the narrative. There's a lot of synergy. You're ready to go. But the challenge I found right there was this idea that a lot of the players were like, why don't we just play regular 40K? I mean, I like Dark Heresy, and it was cool to get a session in, but in terms of a campaign to commit every week, like, that's going to bump into my 40K schedule. I want to play 40K miniature games because that was the pull in. So this duality of a system sometimes being so focused and so in the know of the myth, it was hard. So how do we bridge that? I say that, pushing that out there. This is a technique that I've used with Dark Heresy, and I've used it with other role-playing games where the actual players themselves, the physical players, you need to have a lot of that in-game knowledge, but you don't have it. So the way I bring that in is to tweak the adventure a little bit, and it could be a published adventure or something I'm working on. You have your character, you've created your character, but now you are waking up in the scenario. Maybe you've been in cryogenic freeze, maybe you've been in suspended animation, you've been activated as an agent of the Inquisition, or you were killed and you were resurrected. You know, the classic, you wake up, you have no idea who you are other than a name, some skills that you have. You don't know how you got them, but you've got these mad skills. And there's a shadowy figure that's like, by order of the Inquisition, you're to go to do this. By running an adventure that way, it was actually very exciting for the players because they didn't feel like, and these are players that don't have knowledge of 40K, Warhammer 40K at all. They're like, why is there a floating skull next to me? Now, why are there two floating skulls next to me? Why should I care? That innocence proves nothing. By bringing them in and being like, they could get into character. They can get into character where I don't know who I am. I've just woke up without these memories. And they get to role play that and unlock and discover the in-game universe. And it's not overwhelming. It's not like, I don't know what's going on. No, you don't know what's going on because that's the narrative. Let's learn it. Let's explore. And I found that to be very, very exciting, where now it's not like this stuff I don't know. It's like this stuff I'm going to discover. So why is there a floating skull next to me? Let me like interact and find out. So it's this ability to suspend disbelief and learn in the moment. And I found that to be a very, very valuable tool with very, very focused role-playing games, but especially with Dark Heresy.